Welcome, everybody, to this week's edition of the Weasel's Den. I'm your host, Michael Weasel. Forgive me if I'm a bit rusty at this, as I haven't had to write or produce one of these in quite some time, and I'm hoping not to have to do it again anytime soon. But due to my shitty coaching skills, here I am. Here I sit. This week's edition of the Weasel's Den is brought to you by Peak Settlements, where their first priority is client satisfaction, and also by your friends at Inpatient Surgical Consultants PA. If you've got something stuck in your ass, they will discreetly remove it without telling your wife. On to a serious note, I want to begin by wishing all my Heat peeps out there at the old Ball and Chain a very hearty and healthy Happy New Year. And also a special thanks to the Cotox and Fishmans for taking our shorties the last couple of days and helping us out. May all of you guys be inscribed into the Book of Life. Now, on to the shit-talking smack. First matchup of the week. My own personal Humperdinck's Brute Squad at Barry Kaplan. First off, at the time of writing this, Megatron somehow had 52 points on the CBS preview. I hope to the man upstairs that this is wrong and Polsky still has a below-average team. The battle of the 2-1 second place teams. Well, 2-1, which is good enough to be the champion of the chain division right now. This rival rages on this week. I've made it a New Year's resolution this year to make better choices and not leave more points on the bench than I did last week. With that said, as much of a homer as I am, Alfred Morris, who's laughing at that pick now, I don't believe that our old buddy RG3 will have the greatest of weeks this week. With an O-line forcing him to scramble more, he may be lucky to make it past the second quarter without getting his block knocked off. This coupled with a weak below-average running game between Ingram and Sproles and Djax playing a division rival Giants doesn't have things looking up for Barry Kaplan. Watch as my boy Amo runs wild on Tampa Bay and my receivers bounce back from their siesta, being on my bench, to pop a victory for Humperdinck and his Brute Squad this week. Next matchup, the dog's ass at the short bus. My prediction on this one is that one of these two teams will be writing the preview for next week, so get your video cameras out, and you've got some heavy shoes to fill here, big shoes to fill here. With struggling benches and a number of buys this week, I hear the waiver wires calling these two teams. With Beanie hurt, Williams could have an opportunity to shine this week against a struggling Miami D. That coupled with McFadden coming out of his shell and Romo looking to light up the Bears, as long as he doesn't throw it to Dez, I'll slap yo mama too, Bryant. On the other side, the bus has Chris Johnson. Wait. This is the same Chris Johnson that has sucked. Oh, yeah, that one. That's the one. Stafford could be sidelined, and this leaves Bradford to drive the bus this week, which doesn't bode well for any fantasy owners. This coupled with a weak receiving squad, the bus can only hope that Nick Folk has a monster game and the Cards score 5 defensive touchdowns. Look for the dog's ass to drop a deuce in the bus's fuel tank this week to keep him winless in Agora Hills. On to the next matchup. Our current champion, Mick Lovin, at White Goodman's Yoga Ashram. Breaking news. There is a bounty scandal in the OBCFL. There's a bounty out on Forsetter's team, and it looks like Dr. McX-Champion Stuffins is looking to cash in this week. I know firsthand that Brown did a few last week, but with Bradshaw back at practice, it looks like Brown better start looking to FedEx for a new job loading delivery trucks. Brady will have to have a monster game against Aaron's Bills to offset the lack of running backs on Forsetter's team. The 1 point per reception could help you out this week with your average receiving squad, but it won't be enough to offset the return of AP and MJD on the Doc's team. McLovin has a solid team. He should not be 1-2, but here the former champion stands. Could this be the beginning of the comeback trail for McChampion, or will he just cash in on the bounty and move back to mediocrity after this week? As long as LaShore rests his groin and Rivers gets back on track, please let Rivers get back on track. 4 points is not going to cut it for me, Rivers. Please. I don't want to have to start Fitzpatrick this week. Please. Hopefully he will hit Gates for at least 2 touchdowns. 2, maybe more. That's also good. So expect McLovin to tire out the yoga instructor and send him home early. Early. Next match. Big Daddy Empire at Daddy Why Not Disney. The Battle of the Daddies. On one side, Who's Your Daddy at 0-3. And on the other side, I'm Your Daddy at 3-0. Oh, wait. Act now. And for one night only. It's the return of High Speed Soul. Granted a reprieve from McChampion, Barry will begin fighting not only to get the fuck out of the gutter and get a win on the board, but also for his name this week against the Empire. Will the Empire strike back and force Barry to keep his new chosen name, or will the student become the teacher in this epic matchup of the ages? This matchup says Empire, Empire, Empire. But when you're fighting for the honor of your family name, some men will do anything to restore honor to the galaxy. With Robinson out, High Speed Soul's bench is looking pretty slim in the receiver category. Too bad this isn't a few years ago and I could loan you one of my 8 tight ends and you could execute a flawless Weasel Cat offense. But that's not going to happen. So, your squad is no match for BDE's championship caliber team. Shit, his team is so good. He can afford to bench wide receivers like B. Marsh, who most of us would be happy to start. Look for Barry to get back to disappointing his kids and have to settle for the Core Brothers circus at the fairgrounds. Looks like you got caught up in McLovin's dick tease. BDE for the win on this one. Next up, Buck Turgensen at Bad Rex. Buck put up more numbers in Week 3 than Noam and I combined. I believe this is a new OBC record at 192.9 points. Holy shit, is that a lot of points. I would have taken a fraction of those points for last week. Then I wouldn't be sitting here on the couch reading this. This week, Big Ben has a bye, so good old Carson Palmer gets the nod for Buck. Buck has a solid team, but don't expect Charles to tie Jim Brown's record with facing the Chargers this week. But he will throw up some decent numbers. I hope for his sake, at least. I heard Ray Lewis sent Richardson a welcome basket this week with Ben Gay, ace bandages, 20 pounds of ice, and a bottle of lube in it. Buck has a solid team capable of throwing up those big-time numbers again, but I don't predict it'll be this week. Bad Rex, on the other hand, drafted an elite fantasy team, the kind of team little boys dream about drafting, or wish their daddies drafted Barry. Foster is on his way to his 3rd consecutive 100-plus yard game. Lynch is averaging over 100 yards per game. That, coupled with a great receiving squad capable of PPR wizardry, this matchup has Sexy Rexy written all over it. Look for this one to be closer than the preview show, with Seth coming out on top. Side note, this could be the upset of the week, and Buck could floor Rex. I'm just saying. On to the last matchup here at the Weasel's Den. The host monkey at the Last Dragon. Both teams going into this are 2-1, and both have high hopes for playoff glory this year. Unfortunately for Aaron, this week isn't looking like playoff caliber week, as the preview has him down by 40 points. Noam's team is looking solid this week as he tries to bounce back from almost having to write this preview from last week, and probably one of his lowest outputs since the league inception. There is the possibility that Rodgers takes another dump on Noam this week, but not likely with New Orleans coming to town. According to the CBS preview, Thomas and Choice equal the same amount of points as Gore by himself. That surely won't help Aaron this week, unless he was playing Kaplan. Oh, snap. Even with a solid receiving threesome on his side, it won't be any match for the Last Dragon squad. Barring a Sukkot miracle, look for the Last Dragon to improve to 3-1 and host Monkey to be karate chopped in the nuts. That's it here from the Weasel's Den. Hopefully there will be no second edition of the Weasel's Den this entire year, but we will see about that. To all my brothers out there at OBC, hail to the Redskins.